Hey everyone, I've decided to make part 2 about this shocking Pentagon report, which was leaked in 2004. So, the key point why this report was ordered is to give some propositions of how United States can better prepare for this abrupt climate change. So, they have given a few propositions. A few of those involve creating better predictive models, so they can correctly guess what's going to happen next and mitigate those situations, like create vulnerability metrics to assess what United States might be impacted the most and better mitigate that impact. So if they have food problems, water problems, mineral resources, technical capability, social cohesion and adaptability, we came to the key point of why Trump wants Canada and Greenland. And you can see that's mentioned even in this report from 2003. The United States and Canada may become one, simplifying border controls. I want to show you how Trump sees that. I think here's, I have the video here.
Economic force, because Canada and the United States, that would really be something. You get rid of that artificially drawn line, and you take a look at what that looks like, and it would also be much better for national security. Don't forget, we basically protect Canada.
So that's why that's why Trump wants Canada and Greenland, because apparently there are some things that Canada and Greenland have and United States need to secure before this event. Rehearse adaptive responses. Adaptive responses team should be established to address and prepare for inventable climate-driven events such as massive migration, disease and epidemics, and food and water supplies shortages. Now, here the key is the migration. We know the migration is already happening, but disease and epidemics. So, what this report has singled out one event which happened roughly 700 to 800 years ago, and that event is known as the Little Ice Age. Beginning in the 14th century, the North Atlantic region experienced a cooling that lasted until the mid-19th century. This cooling may have been caused by a significant slowing of the ocean conveyor, although it's more generally thought that reduced solar output and/or volcanic eruption may have prompted the oceanic changes. And this is correct because at that time there was a grand solar minima, and what happened here at the start of the 1300s, the bubonic plague, which killed half the population of Europe. And I have an interesting study here on the occurrence of historical pandemics during the grand solar minima. I already had this theory in my mind that during grand solar minima, people are more fragile and there is an outbreak of disease and plagues due to increased cosmic radiation. So today I found a study by a Brazilian author linking all these major outbreaks to grand solar minima and to cosmic radiation mutating viruses. So these scientists have created a study showing that all historical outbreaks and diseases were associated mostly with grand solar minima. And today scientists are expecting that the next grand solar minima is going to occur somewhere between 2030 and 2040. And this is the date where most of the elite is expecting this abrupt climate change and why they are building their doomsday bomb. So we can see that this study says that key Atlantic current could start collapsing as early as 2055. Some say it's around 2030. But in another report about climate change, they also have outlined this date The increasing physical effects of climate change are likely to exacerbate cross-border geopolitical flashpoints as states take steps to secure their interests. The reduction in sea ice already is amplifying strategic competition in the Arctic over access to natural resources. So the Arctic and Greenland, again, we are coming to the point why Trump wants Greenland. Elsewhere, as temperatures rise and more extreme effects manifest, there is a growing risk or conflict over water and migration, particularly after 2030. So again, this year is showing up. So also in the Russian climate change report, they say that their important sectors could face financial decline between 2030 and 2040. Now back to the study, and this is a very key point. Explore geoengineering options that control the climate. Today it's easier to warm than to cool the climate, so it might be possible to add various gases such as hydrofluorocarbons to the atmosphere to offset the effects of cooling. Such actions, of course, will be studied carefully as they have the potential to exacerbate conflicts among nations. So here they suggest that they can spray aerosols in the atmosphere to stop the global cooling, and today they are also planning this geoengineering, but to stop the potential global warming, and then when the climate flips, they would want to stop the global cooling. So they think that they can stop this climate change process, but in my opinion, they will going to make a big mistake because this can't be stopped. So also the report states that geoengineering might rise conflicts among nations, and here's what we have Sam Altman here suggesting. I wish the world were studying solar geoengineering more. Clearly have misgivings about it, but it's so relatively cheap that I think some country is just going to do it if when the climate crisis gets bad enough as a temporary patch. Would be great to learn more before that. This is Sam Altman suggesting that we need to do solar geoengineering to stop the climate change. This is from 2003. Also, we have the two biggest proponents of human-driven climate change suggesting that they should block the sun to stop the climate change. So why would we need to block the sun if the current climate change is driven by humans? Because they know what's happening and they want to stop, reverse, or just slow down the process. This is also George Soros giving propositions to brighten the clouds over the Arctic to reflect the sun energy away from the melting ice caps. So here how this would work.
Reflecting sunlight away from the Earth stops heat from getting trapped in our atmosphere. We could do that by injecting aerosols into the stratosphere, like volcanoes can do. That's the most commonly researched approach. Some scientists are also looking into brightening marine clouds so they're better at reflecting the sun. And other potential methods include reflective shields in outer space.
Again, in my opinion, this is not a good idea because stopping this process of global warming will just make the things worse. And when the global cooling starts, it will be a lot worse than without human intervention. But again, they will try to stop the global cooling as well. And in case if they are not successful, they have their doomsday bunkers. In my recent videos, I have shown you how the elite is preparing for the event, but now I want to show you what some journalists and insiders in the UAP community have to say about this event, because the UAP phenomenon is closely related to this geophysical event. So here is what the renowned journalist Leslie Kean, who broke the UAP story in 2017 in the New York Times, has to say about the near future. She's saying that things will only get worse and much of what we have today will be gone.
I don't think we're going to be in any shape in a decade to be doing very much of anything, so I'm not hopeful for the future direction that we're moving in. Climate-wise and geopolitical-wise, that's the thing I think is going to kind of come. I think things are going to be pretty difficult starting in a few years. And from what I heard told by sources, can't say specifically, I don't know that much yet, and I can't really say, but just that a lot of what we take for granted now in life, I don't think is going to be, we're not going to have it. A lot of things we have now that makes our lives as wonderful as they are, I don't think we're going to be in any shape in a decade.
Here's what Ross Coulthard, also a journalist heavily involved in the UAP story, has to say about this event. And also again he's mentioning some years like 2027, 2030, but remember, no one can predict the exact phase when the tipping point is going to occur. As I've shown you in my previous examples, some expect that things are going to get a lot worse between 2030 and 2040. Some studies suggest 2055, but nevertheless, we are going towards that tipping point.
There's certainly something going to happen in 2027, and I don't know what it is.
Okay.
I've also heard 2034, and I've also heard other dates, much later. But depends who you talk to. Some people say it's a pole reversal. Some people say it's an asteroid hitting the planet. Some people say it's AI reaching quantum, and then all of a sudden we lose the capacity to have control of our own computer systems. I have no idea. What I am aware of is that everybody's telling me we're on borrowed time. And I cannot begin to emphasize how serious a look I get when I say to people who are confiding in me, what's the timescale on this? And they're urging me to be urgent. They're saying to me, people need the right to know this. They have a right to know this. And I'm going, well, what are we talking about? And I feel like shaking these people and saying, for God's sake, just bloody tell me. And they are all constrained by their national security oaths. They want the power.
So they are all constrained by their national security oaths, because in my opinion, those who are in the know, which are not part of the elite, are lied to, because they are told that United States is heavily preparing for survival of this event and that it intends to protect its citizens, so it's best to keep this as a secret. But if you know my work and if you see what the elite is doing, I think they are preparing only for themselves and they want to survive, while the rest of us will be taken by surprise. It's not only the elite who are building doomsday bunkers. Former Pentagon officials and military insiders like Luis Elizondo are also preparing. At the beginning of this year, it was revealed that Luis Elizondo is building a doomsday bunker.
You're building a bunker out there in Wyoming?
The rule to Fight Club is you never talk about Fight Club. Right? So if you're building a bunker, you don't tell people, because then everybody knows where to go when everything goes south. So, it would be remiss of me to not say that. Yeah, I think people look. Being prepared is not a bad thing. Now, being paranoid, maybe.
A bunker feels a little paranoid.
Well, look, there's an old saying, right? Just because you're paranoid doesn't mean they're not out to get you.
Another insider who has worked for the Pentagon through his companies is the billionaire Robert Bigelow with his aerospace company. He was also heavily involved in the UAP phenomenon research and its connection to the afterlife. His foundation, Bigelow Research, founded a study about this upcoming event. He never published the results, but in an interview he said that the event is already written in the wind, that nobody is going to believe him anyway if he talks about it, and that people like him can only prepare better than others, but there is no guarantee of survival. This is a paraphrasing. Here's what he has to say.
I don't think that's an achievable goal for me. I think I'm an explorer, a researcher, and I think that problem is gigantic. It's huge.
Because it's coming at us from many angles.
Yeah, it's probably already written on the wind one way or another, and it's going to happen. And there's little or nothing we can do about it. Part of that is a function of nobody's going to listen anyway, and so who are we talking to, right? So we'll know, maybe we'll have more information than the average person on the street is going to have, right? And maybe that will give us some ability to have some comfort in our thought process of thinking about not just our container has a clock ticking, but from normal biological disintegration or whatever, or an accident or something coming along, but from a standpoint that things are really going to be bad. And how do you prepare yourself for that? And those that you love and care for, or friends, how do you prepare for any of that, right? So that's probably the best that we can do.
And I think this is one of the most important videos, but if I play this, I think my video will get instantly flagged, so you can go on my X account and hear what Bill Ryan has to say. This is from 2010, and he is exactly predicting what is happening today. And with this I will conclude my video. Be sure to like, share and subscribe to my channel. And of course, if you can, support me on my Patreon or on my X account, because most of my videos, some of my videos are getting demonetized and the algorithm is not pushing this kind of stuff. So only with your support my research can continue and I can continue making videos. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.